Oops, wrong game. Hey everyone, welcome back to another SaGa Frontier video. So on today's video is gonna be a short guide on how to properly build up your Mystic. So Mystic is kind of like a, what could I say, a vampire for SaGa Frontier. I don't know, like for me, Mystic always give like a vampire vibe. First, like Lord Orlog on Fascinaturu have coffins. His blood make you live forever and like timeless. And then Virgil on the Musperberg, his sprite really screams as vampire. Especially what he had that Musperberg manner. We're going for the basic first. Mystic is really well known for people that play the original. It is a race that can manipulate the stats and it can went really up high compared to other race, unless you're grinding non-stop. Aside from Asellus. Asellus is like a half mystic, but her stats is more a human stats. But they also have a downside, which is most mystic have a locked equipment that you can't remove at all. Most of them. So if I can put top 3 mystic that I can think of on SaGa Frontier, for me personally, it would be Mesarthim for the first one, and then I would put Time Lord back then, but since the remaster can give you Nusakan on Asellus chapter and also Fuse chapter, I would say Nusakan as the second one and Time Lord as the third one. The reason is Mesarthim is the only one that have no Mystic Mail locked, but she has a Mellow Ring that give her a Rain of Life spell. And I don't really see anyone else have that spell. Nusakan is more because he also doesn't have a Mystic Mail lock, but instead he has a Mystical Shawl. And that thing can heal your party. Time Lord, well, I don't really have to explain why I choose Time Lord, because Time Lord is the only character aside from Blue or Rogue that has a time magic and also have the gift for time magic like Overdrive and also have a mystic magic. But the downside is Time Lord has the mystical mail that is kinda locked. So Mystic can absorb skills and stats from a monster. There's a huge list like monster that you can absorb. Mostly it's the normal monster that you fight from lower tier rank up to higher tier rank. We're gonna start talking about how the absorption works. So Mystic has these 3 skill that is locked behind their skill slot: the Feyblade, Mystic Gloves, and Mystic Boots. Every time you absorb a monster, for example, if you absorb it on a Feyblade, you got some stats that will be increased on your character stats. Different monster give different stats. So for example, if you absorb one monster on a Feyblade and then monster 2 on the Mystic Gloves, and this is like 2 different monster, you get a different stat, but all of them are calculated on the character stats. So for example, like my Zosma compare to my Time Lord, and then compare that to Ray, and then compare it to Mesarthim. The 2 of this has different stats. Why? Because I absorb different monster on Mesarthim, I absorb different monster on Time Lord. Okay, so that's the basic how the stat manipulation works. Basically, you absorb monsters and you get their stats and their skills. That's it. So on to the next part. We're gonna talk about Asellus now. Since Asellus is a half mystic, you can have the Mystic Blade and also the Mystic Glove and also the Mystic Boots, but it doesn't show on your stats on your screen because Asellus works like a human. Her mystic ability only works if you're using, for example, you're using a Feyblade, it will give Asellus a mystical transformation. Then the stat boost works, but only in the battle. It doesn't work like any other mystic. So for example, like Zosma already have all these stats on his Feyblade, Mystic Gloves, and Mystic Boots. Asellus doesn't show it because all this, the plus 15, are just from my equipment. Because Asellus stats works like a human instead of a mystic. But the plus side, Asellus doesn't have their Feyblade, the Mystic Glove, and the Mystic Boot locked behind the skill slot. That's the beauty of it. You can just, I don't know, like maybe you live a Asellus that can suplex your monster, you can go with it, or a Asellus that can shoot guns. That's the beauty of SaGa Frontier. You can make any character, however, like whatever and however you like to play with. Okay, next I'm gonna show you the different stats that you gain and also the different skill that you gain from absorbing a different monster. So we're gonna start with Zosma. My Zosma has a full Suzaku absorb on the Feyblade, on the Mystic Glove, and the Mystic Boots. And this is his stat. So basically, if you have Suzaku absorb, one Suzaku give you plus 20 on every stat aside from charisma. So if you ask me what is the best monster to absorb for the stats, and I'm saying for the stats, it will be Suzaku. From there you can, I don't know, if you love, like I said, if you love to make Zosma a wrestler to suplex people, you can do it. But I'm just gonna talk about how the stat works. So my Zosma has a full Suzaku and one Suzaku give plus 20. So if you have 3 Suzaku absorb, you got plus 60 on the stats. And then we go to my Princess Ray. She has a crystal tree absorb, 3 of them, and the skill is oscillation, crystallizer, and spiders. Different type, I'm not saying the different type of monster, different type of mystic stuff you absorb it with give you different skill. So the sword give you oscillation, the glove give you crystallizer, and the boots give you spiders. And this is the stats of my Princess Ray. Crystal Tree give you plus 22. 3 Crystal Tree give you plus 66 on Strength, Concentration, Psychic, and Vitality. So next, we're going to my Mesothyme because my Mesothyme has 3 Dullahan absorbed. For the blade, it give you Griffon Strike. Mystic Glove give you Crystallizer, just like the Crystal Tree. Mystic Boots give you Assassinate. And this is Mesothyme stat. Dullahan give you plus 20 on Strength, Mobility, Intelligence, and Psychic. But it also give you kind of a useful skill that you can use, but remember you need to train a little bit more of weapon point to use that, because for example like Assassinate and Griffon Strike, it used like 7 weapon point for one skill. Most of my mystics are like a mage for me, because in my personal opinion, aside from Asellus, mystic is kind of like I don't know, like more of a magic user than a weapon user. I would put human for that part. Okay, so next gonna be Eldon, because my Eldon has 3 Genbu. So on the Feyblade, it has a Gryphon Strike just like Dullahan. And then on the glove, it has Frost. And on the Mystic Boot, it has Lightning Crash. And this is my Eldon stats. So Genbu give plus 20 on Intelligence, Psychic, and Fatality. Again, like I said, as you can see, different monsters give different stats and also give different skill. Although some monsters have some same skills, I would say if you're going to manipulate only stats, just stats, I would say go for Suzaku, because Suzaku give plus 20 in almost all part of the stats. But Suzaku's skill is kind of meh, like Blaze, Hellwing, and Titus Wave. I would say Dullahan is way more useful on the skill side, because Assassinate and Gryphon Strike, it can really hit hard. But again, this depends on how you play the game. You can mix it up if you want. The beauty of SaGa Frontier, this is all not set on stone, because if you want, depend on your how you play the game, you can also mix it up. For example, if you want the skill of a Dullahan for the Gryphon Strike on the sword, and then you want the Assassinate on the boots, but you also want a Suzaku skill on your glove, you can mix it up by absorbing Dullahan on the blade and also the boots, but then you absorb a Suzaku on the glove. That would give you a mix of stats, but since Suzaku and Dullahan, both of them give plus 20, you would get a total of, some of them are plus 60, but some of them are just plus 20, because Dullahan doesn't increase all your stat. It kind of miss the concentration and the vitality. On Suzaku, it give you everything plus 20 aside from charisma. So I hope this video can really help you to understand more about how the mystical absorption works. And if you see my Eldon still has Genbu, trust me, the only reason I kinda let Eldon stick with Genbu is for this video purposes. I was about to change Eldon with like a mix of Dullahan and Suzaku, but I kinda hold on until I make this video. But after making this video, I'm gonna change my Eldon with mix of Suzaku and Dullahan. And if you ask me which is better, relying on the skill that you get or the stats that you have, I would say go for Suzaku for the stats, because most of the magic that the character have, it's enough already. But again, this is SaGa Frontier, so it depends on how you play the game and how you have your party on your team. Because I can't really speak for all the people, because I know different people have different team setup, different people have different play style. Some people would have Asellus be a wrestler. Some people would have Asellus as a gun user. That's all up to you, but me personally, I would say go for Suzaku or a Dullahan for the stats, because it would really boost your stats a lot. So fun fact, and this is kind of a bonus, Since the remaster have a new Game Plus system, I would say the best monster to absorb is Kylin or a Mariche. You can find Kylin on Blue's chapter if you decide to kill it, and you can also get a Mariche from Riki's final chapter, or if you're super lucky, you can find Mariche on one of the chests on Moose Tome. Yeah, the Moose Tome in Strike next to Rufus. You can find a Mimic, or sometimes a Snowfolk, or sometimes if you're super lucky you would see a Living Mirror or a Mariche. But 100% way to find a Mariche is going for Riki's chapter on the final boss, and you would get Mariche in one of the random enemy that the Black Ring spawn. And you can absorb Mariche there, because Mariche give you plus 25. Kylin give you plus 25 on every stat aside from Charisma. Mariche give you plus 25 on every stats, including Charisma. Getting them is kinda a hassle since they are both locked behind a specific chapter. I kinda feel bad if I have to kill Kylin, since Kylin has that Kylin space with kits all around it, so that's me personally. Oh wait, before I end the video, I forgot. You can find a Suzaku deep down on the Biolab. And a Dullahan is also in Biolab. A Crystal Tree is also in Biolab. Most of the higher tier monster, you can fight it on Biolab. But you need to be on a higher tier fight. So every time you see a Kraken on your clan, for example, that means you're already on a higher tier fight. You can just go to a Biolab, then you would see a Dullahan and also a Crystal Tree. And the Suzaku is like deep down. If you go down to the basement, you would see one of the scientists that changed to a bird, and that bird is a Suzaku, 100%. So if you're going to absorb a Suzaku, you don't need to go to Masperberg and do a new game plus. So let me show you where the Suzaku is. So this one is a Dullahan, as you can see. On a higher tier fight, this is a Crystal Tree, in case you want the oscillation. And then, this is where you find the Suzaku. You go down to the basement. Head down. This guy over here is a Suzaku. Oh no, wrong one. Not him. Not him. This one. And it will give you a Suzaku. 100%. So I'm gonna show you. I'm going to go here and then go back. There you go, another Suzaku. So if you want to find a Suzaku and to fight and to absorb them, go here. But remember, you need to be on a higher tier fight. So I hope this short video can help you to understand more about how the Mystic works, how different monsters give you different skills and different stats, how the comparison between them on the stats, and how to properly use it depend on how you play the game and how your team setup is. If I missed something or I am wrong about something, please let me know on the comment section down below, so that way I can learn from my mistakes and I also can improve myself for the future video. And if you have any suggestion what else you want me to cover for SaGa Frontier, let me know in the comment section down below. And I have to say thank you thank you for all the support that I have since I posted my first SaGa Frontier video. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay safe everyone. Bye bye.